another print disability, which makes reading, holding a book, or turning a page difficult or impossible. The content is copyrighted by the respective publishers. For more information, please visit us on the web at nfradioreading.org.
Hello, this is Fran McNamara, and for the next hour, I'll be reading from the July 17th through 23rd issue of Buffalo Business First, right here, on the Niagara Frontier Radio Reading Service. And I'm looking at the cover, and it's very exciting, especially given the fact that we're almost to Buffalo Bills season here. Well, they'll be opening camp soon, but here it is, Highmark Stadium, when they actually had the ceremony, the ribbon cutting ceremony, and it's a picture red and blue streamers exploding out of the back of the stage, right in front of Highmark Stadium, and it says, cover story, the Bills' next chapter. The $2.2 billion stadium is ready to welcome fans and anchor the franchise and region for decades to come. Now that will be by Lee and Bunny on page 20. So again, they show the crowd there for the ribbon cutting and some of the dignitaries there on stage. And it mentions here on the cover that we're going to be given a new edition of The List. And if you know my readings, you know that that's probably my favorite part of Buffalo Business First. Fast track companies and behavioral health providers. Those are on pages 10 and 16. And then there's a preview of the Power People feature, and that's going to be by Tracy Drury on page 3. And there's a picture of a very professional-looking young lady there in her business casual, so to speak. She went from mayor to nonprofit CEO. As the leader of the region's largest nonprofit, Ann McCaffrey oversees a staff of nearly 5,200 people, which is up 30% in 3 years. So I think we'll certainly get to that one. So that's the end of the first page, and of course we get to page 2, which is entitled First Things First. And it says data and details. Changes at the top 4. ECMC, Catholic Charities, UB, and more. Okay, so first, Sarah Paulson Meehan writes, Catholic Charities of Buffalo has a new CFO as the result of restructuring under its new president. Erie County Medical Center Corps has promoted from within for its new COO, and the University at Buffalo has hired a Buffalo native to be its next president. So it says C-suite roster for June, and that's the letter C. The Arc, Erie County, New York. Michelle Cordero takes over as CEO on January 1st, when Doug DeJazere will retire after nearly 40 years with the agency. Secondly, Bishop Timon St. Jude High School. Kevin Ryan, a 1986 graduate of the McKinley Parkway School, has been named its next leader effective July 2nd. Ryan will succeed James P. Newton, who announced in April that he will retire at the end of this school year after about 8 years with the school. Next, we have Catholic Charities of Buffalo. Ryan Underkoffer has been named CFO, and Robert Hasselbeck has been named controller as part of a restructuring 3 months after the appointment of Tony DeSimone as president and CEO. And again, that's of Catholic Charities of Buffalo. Next, we have Concept Logistics. Andrew Lazinski took over as CEO in January when both he and COO Greg Finnerty became equity partners in the Buffalo-based company. And again, that is Concept Logics. Next, we have Dewey University. Dr. Nicholas Camposillo has taken over as Dean of Dewey's College of Osteopathic Medicine. He succeeds Dr. Jay Danto, who had been the interim dean since founding dean Dr. Sean Cannon resigned in October. Okay, next we have Erie County Medical Center, ECMC, Corporation. The Buffalo Hospital has promoted from within for its new chief operating officer. Cassandra Davis took on the role as of June 15th, coinciding with the ascension of current COO Andrew Davis to CEO. And there is no relation between Cassandra and Andrew Davis. She is the current highest ranking female executive at the hospital. Next, we have another school, Hilbert College. The private college's Board of Trustees has extended the contract for interim president Michael Cornell. Cornell's contract was set to expire at the end of June. Now we have Insight, that's INSYTE, Insight Consulting. Benjamin L. Rand will retire as president by the end of the summer, with Greg Egan, that's EAGON, taking his place. M&T Bank. Delaware North CEO Jerry Jacobs Jr. has joined the bank's board, which has shrunk to 13 directors due to departures since the last 2023 appointment. And finally on this list of C-suite roster, University at Buffalo. Caroline Genko, that's Genco. Caroline Genko, a Buffalo native and the current provost and senior vice president at Tufts University, will become the university's 16th president August 10th. She takes over for Satish Tripathi, who stepped down at the end of the 2025-26 academic year. Well, there's a lot of new players on the board for Western New York, and that's the end of page 2, first things first. And now we get to that Power People feature, and Anne McCaffrey was featured on the cover. Okay, well, Buffalo Business First publishes 3 annual Power Lists: the Power 250, the Power 200 Women, and the Power 100 Business Leaders of Color, featuring the top business leaders in Western New York. Each week, we will tell you more about an executive on those lists. And this week, it's Anne McCaffrey, President and CEO of People Incorporated. Now, Tracy Drury will be giving us a little background on Anne, and then she'll be posing some questions or, let's say, discussion topics. So, okay, now, we will mention that in the Power 250 ranking, Anne McCaffrey is 29 out of 250. And her Power 200 Women's 2025 ranking is number 7. So, okay, and there's a picture of her in a very nice, let's say, I'd say business casual, but it's pretty sharp. She's got a white, what we used to call in my day a suit coat, but this would be a jacket. And she's got a nice print blouse underneath with jewelry and a very contented smile on her face, and I don't blame her. So, questions and answers. When Anne McCaffrey stepped into the role of president and CEO at People Incorporated in 2023, she closed the loop on a leadership career that went from government to healthcare to social services. As the leader of the region's largest nonprofit, she oversees an operational budget of $320 million and a staff of nearly 5,200. That's up from $200 million and 4,000 employees just 3 years ago. And Anne says, we've had an extended period of significant growth and doubled our revenue over the decade. Okay. A Lockport native, Miss McCaffrey, came to the post from Eastern Niagara Hospital, where she served as hospital president after a 4-year stint as mayor of the city of Lockport. She spent the first 19 years of her career in mental health and vocational programming with Lakeshore Behavioral Health. She is on the New York State Legislative Ethics Commission and also the boards of the following: Buffalo Niagara Partnership, Nazareth University, Buffalo Academy of the Sacred Heart, Erie Canalway Heritage Fund, Catholic Health and Person-Centered Services. Ann and her husband, Chris, have 3 children, Meredith, Gretchen, and Connor. So Tracy Drury asks Ann, what was the most pivotal moment in your career? And she answers, being elected mayor of Lockport. It gave me the opportunity to serve the residents of Lockport in a very meaningful way, and it set the course for my future leadership positions, both at Eastern Niagara Hospital and now at People Incorporated. It's been fascinating and challenging to transform leadership roles from local government to healthcare and now human services and find the interplay between all 3 sectors. So Tracy asks Ann, what's a lesson you have learned, from a mistake? Interesting question. I like that. Not to dwell on it too much. Learn from it, move on, be resilient, and believe me, do not get too caught up. It's learning that internal resiliency and moving on and owning it. So now she says, Tracy asks Ann, have you had a strong mentor in your life? And her response, my dad was a small business owner, so very much a hard work ethic, business mindset, and a lot of business integrity. And my mom was a high school teacher and very much in the compassionate and service side. To me, they both had a different focus in life, and I've tried to bring both of their strong values together in what I do. So then Tracy asks, what's your ultimate career goal? And Ann says, have as much positive impact on people in my community that I could have. I feel like I've done that, but I could always do more. So Tracy asks Ann, what is your favorite thing to do in Western New York? And she says, I love golfing. I love going to the Bills and Sabres game and sporting events for sure. But also we love going to Lake Ontario and enjoying the lake sunsets and being outside in the summer. And next, Tracy asks, what is your favorite place to eat in the metro area? And she says, Hatches. If you had to choose a different career, what would you pick and why? And Ann says, I have pivoted so many times to different sectors. Excuse me. Excuse me. Well, you can tell this is live, can't you? I'm sorry. Okay. So the question again, if you had to choose a different career, what would you pick and why? And Ann says, I've pivoted so many times to different sectors, so I feel like I've had a lot of good career interests. It's so much fun to see how all the pieces of career connected, from behavioral health, then the city, public health and city government. I don't think I'll be back on the nonprofits. I don't think I'd be back on the nonprofit service side. It's an interesting iteration of my career, and it's kept me on my toes. What's an interesting fact about you that not everyone knows? And she says, I'm Catholic, so leaning into my faith is really important to me. So Tracy asks, what was your first job, and would you do it again? And she was a sales clerk at Brand Names, and I would definitely do it again, she says. So then, Tracy asks, what is one thing you look for when hiring somebody? And she said, definitely a positive attitude. That's probably my number one. Certainly knowledge and expertise and being a great team player, but someone with a positive attitude who is ready to get it, who's ready to get in, learn, and be productive teammate with the rest of the team. Critical thinking coupled with the positive attitude are the most important traits I look for. So then Tracy asks Anne, how do you describe yourself as a boss? And she says, well, I think I'm a good listener, but I'm also decisive. I try to listen to other people around me and then synthesize that and make a decision. It's a combination of listening, but being very decisive. Once I make a decision, that's where I'm going. And finally, Tracy asks Anne, what are you listening to or reading that makes you laugh? She said, Seinfeld and The Office. Oldies, but goodies. Okay, so that's the end of page 3. That's the end of the Power People for this week. And, you know, I'm not a betting person, but I'm betting after page 3, we're going to get page 4. Let's see if I'm right. Yeah, there it is. And you know what? The inner Fran McNamara is jumping for joy because we have what I call one of the mystery items. It's a mystery item, big number. Now, the topic is nonprofits and foundations. And the big number is $2 million. Okay, so let's do just a little bit of detective work here. Nonprofits and foundations. $2 million. That's the big number, the mystery number. I wish I had a button I could give you a mystery number. $2 million. Okay, what nonprofit would have a number of $2 million? I'm at a loss, which is not unusual. $2 million is the expected annual maintenance budget for the $200 million Ralph C. Wilson Centennial Park. And one of the big articles on this page, the biggest in fact, is about Ralph C. Wilson Centennial Park in Buffalo. Okay, and there's a picture of the park, part of the park, and off in the distance is City Hall in Buffalo. And it says, construction on the Ralph C. Wilson Centennial Park in Buffalo. Okay, it looks like a part where they're actually leveling an area, and it looks like part of it has already had grass planted. Very impressive, but it says, okay. Wow. Okay. Endowment. No, I'm sorry, that's the other article. Okay, this one is on long-term funding plan in place for $200 million park. When Ralph C. Wilson Centennial Park opens next year in 2027, at least $200 million will have been spent to transform a city park into a West Side destination. That includes more than $50 million out of the $200 million from the Ralph C. Wilson Jr. Foundation and millions from state sources. The foundation, the city, and the Ralph Wilson Park Conservatory project a $2 million annual budget. Funding sources will include endowments, the city, and the Conservancy's private fundraising. While the Conservancy will manage operations and programming at the 100-acre waterfront park, the city will retain ownership and cover maintenance costs and expenses like security. And by the way, before I continue, you're listening to a reading of articles and features from Buffalo Business First, right here on the Niagara Frontier Radio Reading Service. Okay, now there's a subheading that says endowment funding. The park's $100 million Phase 1 is nearly done. That's $100 million. Remaining work includes lawn installation, landscaping, signage, and more. General contractor Gilbane will turn over operations and maintenance oversight to the Conservancy for the completed work in 2026. Most funds for that will come from endowments. Conservancy leaders say a $10 million endowment for the Conservancy's benefit has grown to $20 million, so it's doubled. A donor-advised fund established by Ralph Wilson's late daughters will also provide an estimated $300,000. The foundation also established now this is in cap letters, the City Within a Park Fund endowment in 2025 to support 1,100 acres of city parks. Terms require that the city's parks budget remains at least at 2023's 24's $7.8 million. The foundation provided an initial $25 million toward a $50 million goal. Wow. Okay, another subheading. City budget challenges. Now these have to do with the parks. Mayor Sean Ryan this spring introduced a $669 million city budget for 2026 through 27, up from $622 million previously. That includes a $109 million structural deficit. Still, it sets aside $8.9 million for a parks budget. The city will also take over contracts by outside vendors like Elber's Landscape Service, which handles Phase 1 maintenance for landscaping. Buffalo Deputy Mayor Maria White said the city expects to meet its obligation while committed to a unified integrated park system. Until the park opens, exact maintenance costs are unknown. White said the City Within a Park Fund allows the city to supplement public investments with private philanthropic resources. If park funding falls below the 2023-24 level, the fund could be redistributed exclusively to maintain Wilson Park, Egner said. And here's a quote from David Egner, who is the foundation CEO and a Conservancy board member. And he says, the condition of that endowment for the dollars to flow into city parks requires the city to keep a floor of support for parks and to keep up with inflation and the CPI index. Enger also said, it's not in the city's interest to break that promise because it would risk losing funds for the greater park system. Okay, and finally about the Wilson Park, Conservancy's role. Charles Therese, Conservancy Board Chair, said other operational funding will come through Conservancy fundraising. He noted past grants included $2.3 million from the New York State Power Authority and $50,000 from the NFI. $50,000 from the NFL. The Conservancy's founding director resigned earlier this year along with then board chairman John Nelmo. It's currently operating with a part-time consultant and help from the board of directors. Torres said when the Conservancy is fully operational, there'll be more time to seek grants. Okay, so, and here's a quote. This is from David Egner, Ralph C. Wilson Foundation CEO. The operating model was looked at from the very beginning and shared with our trustees before we even committed. Okay, so that's everything I've read you from this page, and of course it's page 4, has dealt with the parks, the funding for Ralph C. Wilson Centennial Park in Buffalo, New York. Okay, that was by Tracy Drury, and there's also another article here, Endowment. Delaware North gives $1 million to the park system. Okay, Delaware North has a big presence in parks across the country, but the hospitality giant's new $1 million commitment to the Buffalo Olmsted Park system is intended to make a different kind of impact. The Buffalo-based hospitality company July 7th announced the gift to an endowment campaign underway by the Buffalo Olmsted Parks Conservancy. Additionally, it will also provide $15,000 to support a new partnership with the Service Collaborative to fund 5 AmeriCorps members in Buffalo parks through the Buffalo Service Corps to advance specialized field projects and stewardship efforts. Delaware North has given over $400,000 to Olmsted Parks over the past decade, but has never made a major gift of this size. The gift comes during the quiet phase of Olmsted Park's endowment campaign and brings the Conservancy halfway to $5 million, the first of 3 milestones. Katie Stevenson, Conservancy Executive Director, said the commitment will help generate interest in the campaign, and she hopes inspire corporate gifts. The endowment is intended to support long-term operations and maintenance of the 850-acre system of parks and parkways overseen by the Conservancy on behalf of the city of Buffalo. Well, that's very nice, and thanks for Tracy Drury reporting that to us. And that's the end of page 4. Page 5 is a full-page ad, so now we go to page 6. And the topic on this page is higher education. And sorry, folks, there are no mystery items on this page itself. Katie Anderson brings us 3 articles on higher education in Western New York. So I'm going to go from left to right. I'm not going by size here. Okay, Trocaire College. President to retire once replacement is found. A private college in Buffalo has launched a search for a new leader after its president of 14 years announced retirement plans. Bassem Deeb, D-E-E-B, president of Trocaire College, will stay in his role until a search is completed, according to the news release. Deeb said he is proud of Trocaire's strategic growth and its support for students. And he adds, however, it's time for the next chapter, both for the college and for me personally. There's still more work to be done, and it will remain business as usual at Trocaire throughout the search. End quote. Trocaire's Board of Trustees has hired a national executive research firm, DSG Storbeck. The change of leadership comes as many of the region's 10 private colleges and universities face challenges, including a declining national birth rate that has caused a demographic cliff that is expected to continue for many years. And a post-pandemic job market and economy have made skipping college more attractive to many high school graduates. The college is also considering moving to a new home. In October, the school announced it hired a firm to evaluate potential sites in Western New York to relocate its main campus, which is currently at 360 Choate Avenue in South Buffalo, which is right next to South Buffalo Mercy Hospital. So that's interesting news, a new leader, and also it sounds like they're looking for a new location. Okay, that was brought to you by Katie Anderson. And now we have the largest of the 3 articles. We have University at Buffalo. Momentum attracted new president to the role. Okay, before we get into this article, I'd just like to remind you you're listening to a reading of Articles and Features from Buffalo Business First, right here let's say it together, right here on the Niagara Frontier Radio Reading Service. And accompanying this article on University at Buffalo, momentum attracted new president to the role, we have a picture here of Caroline Atardo-Jenko, UB president. She's standing at the bottom of the stairway, obviously on campus within one of the buildings, with a very, very content look on her face, all smiles. University's growth and impact impressed Caroline Atardo-Jenko. As a SUNY Fredonia undergraduate, Caroline spent summers in the 1970s doing research projects at the University of Buffalo South Campus. Decades later, she's returning home to lead one of the state's largest research universities. Jenko, who's currently Tufts University's provost and senior vice president, was named UB's 16th president on June 2nd. She'll be the first woman in the position when she takes over August 10th. And she's taking over for Satish Tripathi, who led UB for 15 years. UB has 30,387 students and is one of the region's largest employers. That's why it mattered that Jenko not only was highly qualified for her job, but also had deep roots here. So why did she return to Buffalo? And she said, "It was the university first," she said. Jenko was impressed by UB's growth and accomplishments. The more she learned about UB's role in Buffalo revitalization, the more it seemed like her dream job, she said. And here's a quote from her. "It was the connection with my area of expertise in education, the impact the university had made on the city, the people who were there, and the ambition of the university," she said. Close quote. In addition to hearing from students and staff about opportunities and challenges, she wants to build on UB's momentum. That includes the state $400 million investment in Empire AI, the research consortium launched at the university 2 years ago. She also wants to work with UB's council to further relationships with industry partners. While UB has grown significantly, 2025's federal changes in funding and immigration enforcement presented significant challenges. In September, UB was down 750 to 1,000 international students, causing a $6.5 million enrollment revenue reduction. She plans to work with UB's International Center team to support recruitment. UB says it also has lost about $20 million in grant awards due to federal research funding cuts. She said it's important for university leaders to talk about the importance of research. And she closes, and this article is closed with this quote. Caroline says, "We at university need to do a better job of getting out of our ivory towers and going out to talk to people about what our research has done," she said. Well, amen to that. So that's the second of 3 articles on higher education by Katie Anderson. And these, of course, are on page 6. So the last one is D'Youville University, 3rd dean named for medical school. And here's a picture of Dr. Nicholas Camposio, Dean of the College of Osteopathic Medicine. D'Youville University is named the next dean of its College of Osteopathic Medicine, the medical school's 3rd leader before it welcomes its first cohort this August. Dr. Nicholas Camposio, an emergency medicine physician, took over as dean on June 19th. He succeeded Dr. Jay Danto, interim dean since October, when the founding dean, Dr. Sean Cannon, resigned. Danto left D'Youville after Camposio was appointed. Cannon recruited Camposio in 2023 as one of the college's first 3 hires. So Composio, yeah, that's it, did his undergraduate studies at the University of Buffalo before getting his Doctor of Osteopathic Medicine degree from Nova Southwestern University in Florida. He relocated for the emergency medicine residency program at UB's Jacobs School of Medicine and is now an assistant director of the whole program. So, okay, thank you for reporting those to us, Katie Anderson. Page 7 is a full page ad, so we're going to go to page 8, and page 8 is commercial real estate with 2 articles brought to us by Jacob Tierney, and one of them is a mystery number. Okay, we're going to go with that mystery number first, and it says big number. $19.4 million. Okay, this is commercial real estate. $19.4 million. Now, I'm not reading ahead, giving myself the inside scoop on what the number's about, so I'm just going to guess. Let's see. This is under commercial real estate. Does it have to do with Costco coming to the former Seneca Mall site? Does it have to do with anything out near the new Highmark Stadium, soon to be open? Very soon to be open for business, within weeks. Let's see. $19.4 million. The amount Uniland Development Company paid for a $205,000 square foot warehouse at 500 Bailey in Buffalo. The purchase adds to the company's sizable portfolio of industrial properties, a category of real estate that remains in extremely high demand in Western New York. So they paid $19.4 million, Uniland Development did, for a warehouse at 500 Bailey Avenue in the city of Buffalo. Now, what I find striking, and I'm not editorializing pro or con, I'm just saying $19.4 million back when I was a youngster. I was born in 1950, and thinking of the Bailey Avenue area, that would have bought an incredible amount of real estate back then. $19.4 million. Okay, well, good luck to Uniland and getting that property up and running for whatever they hope to develop there. Okay, the other one here is BlackRock. Commercial real estate, BlackRock. Former railroad depot sold for $5.8 million. And that's another one I am. Trains are near and dear to me. My great-grandpa was a conductor on the Buffalo to Springville run. And that's back in the last century, around the, let's say 1920. Okay, Buffalo's historic Black Rock Freight House, a former railroad depot converted into apartments and commercial space, has been sold for $5.8 million. And there's a picture here of Carl Frisian, principal architect of the Frisian Group. And it says, historic building now home to apartments and commercial space. Buffalo Freight House LLC, an ownership group led by developer Carl Frisian and Jason Yates, sold the property at 68 Tonawanda Street to, now it's LOTHO, Loso Minor LLC, a company affiliated with local businessmen Ian Finn and John Popignac, according to records filed with the Erie County Clerk's Office. The sale echoes a familiar pattern for the parties involved. Frisian has been selling off a large swath of his Buffalo portfolio, while Finn and Popignac have been buying it at a rapid clip. The pair largely focus on acquiring multi-family communities in renovated historic buildings. Exactly the type of project Frisian has long been known for developing. He previously sold the mattress factory and school lofts at Abbott apartment communities to companies led by Finn and Poppycock. Matthew Hartrich, manager partner and licensed real estate broker at Schneider Real Estate Services, brokered the deal on behalf of the seller and said there were multiple parties who were interested in the property. The Black Rock Freight House is a long, narrow brick building that was constructed in the 1900s. Totaling about 42,000 square feet, the building underwent an extensive $10.54 million renovation under Frislin and Yachts. Completed in 2020, that renovation created 35 townhome-style apartments and a 3,500 square foot commercial space that's currently occupied by Funville Family Fun Center. Hartrich said the development team maximized the use of space in the unusually shaped building, creating townhome-style units with their own private entrances to eliminate the need for common areas. And here's a final quote. Carl, who is the principal architect, said it is a very efficient building. It was very well designed and laid out, and the townhome group was really attractive to the buyers that we were talking to. Okay. Well, let's see if something comes of that. That's wonderful news. Okay, commercial real estate from Jacob Tierney. Thank you. That's goodbye to you. There goes page 8. Page 9 is a full page, let's say, well, not a full page ad, but an ad. And now we get to page 10, Be Still My Heart. Okay, it's the first half of the Fast Track Companies list. And this list was compiled by Hassan Green. Okay, this is a very extensive list, so please bear with me on here. Actually, it covers 4 half pages, which would be 2 full pages. And let me just explain what it is. It's Fast Track Companies ranked by their revenue growth. So this should be fairly interesting. I can't read you every feature or we'd be here into midnight. But I'll get as much done for each company as I can. Fast Track Companies, and there's also this was originally published July 17th of this year, so this is as new as can be. Okay, I'm looking for the usual caveat, but I don't see one here where they tell us where they get the information from. I'm not seeing that. Okay, we'll go right up there down to number 1. Drei Burgos Construction out of Hickory Street in Buffalo. Revenue growth is 374.75% in growth. And now they're at the 6.95 million for last year. And they employ 26 people, and Alexander Burgos, B-U-R-G-O-S, or Burgos, is the top local executive. Next we have in second place the 34 Group from Orchard Park. And their revenue growth was 257.14% in growth, and they are at the $25 million mark for 2025. They employ 120 people, and it looks like Ron Giuliano is their top local executive. In third place, we have Next HR Solutions in Williamsville on Sheridan Drive. Revenue growth, 146.75%, bringing them up to $4.15 million. They have 18 employees, and Joe Wind, W-A-N-D, is the top local executive. Fourth place, Strokes Painting and Contracting from East Amherst. Revenue growth 132.42%, up to 4.37 million last year. They have 35 on the payroll, and Danielle Bickle, it looks like, is the top local executive. Fifth place, we have Southtown Audio in Hamburg, and they have their growth, revenue growth is 113.24%, and they have now revenue up to $7.7 million, 15 employees, and Heather Sidorowitz, I think that is the top local executive. Sixth place, we have Ferguson Electric, and they are on Ellicott Street in the city. Their revenue growth is 83%, up to $343.5 million in 2025. They employ 630, and Kevin Rowland is their top local executive. Seventh place, Rodriguez Construction, within the city on Northland Avenue, 76.95% revenue growth. They're up to, looks like, 34.82 million, and 105 employees, and Luis Rodriguez is their top local executive. Eighth place, we have Volin Electric, and they are in the city, and their revenue growth was 75.5%, up to $12.47 million in 2025. They have 76 employees, and Christopher Graham and Kirk Graham are their top local executives. Ninth place, we have One Bridge Benefits. They're on Franklin Street in the city. So their revenue growth is 70.15%. They're up to $45.34 million in fiscal year 2025. 89 employees, and Michael, looks like Nab. No, I'm sorry, that's Nicholas Nab. Okay, and finally in 10th place, we have Energy Mark LLC out of Williamsville. Revenue growth at 67.5%. They're up to $178.19 million. And they have 18 employees, and Gary Marcheri is their top local executive. So that's the first 10. So then we go to number 11. Okay, so in 11th place, we have Wilcox Financial on Forest Road in Amherst. They're up 57.8% revenue growth, putting them at, looks like, 2.15 million. 6 Western New York employees, and Nicole Ovenkemp is their top local executive. 12th place is Jack Hunt Coin Brokerage on Delaware and Kenmore. Revenue growth of 45.84%. They're up to $593 million, and they have 15 local employees. Scott Hunt and Stephen Hanley III, top local executives. Lawley LLC on Delaware in the city, 42.96% revenue growth. So they're up to $157.93 million. There are 476 employed in Western New York. You have William and Michael Lawley and Christopher, looks like Christopher Ross. There you go. Top local executive. 14th place, U.S. ITIC Incorporated. And they're on Niagara Falls Boulevard in Tonawanda. They're up 41.97% to $3.18 million. And they have 9 local employees. David Stinner is their top local executive. Next we have Collegan LEW LLP, and they're at Fountain Plaza downtown. 41.02% revenue growth, putting them at $2.55 million. Matthew Putke is their top local executive, and they employ 31. In 16th place, O'Donnell and Associates on Potomac in the city, 39.3% revenue growth. They're up to 39 million. And that's with 7 local employees, and Jack O'Donnell is their top local executive. 17th place, we have Azar Design Company and Landscape, Maine in the city, 36.69% revenue growth. They're at 33.45 million. They have 97 local employed people. Gregory Carbalada, I'm sorry. Okay. Next we have 18th place, Frank's Basement Systems on Military Road in Tonawanda, 33.43% revenue growth, 19.26 million volume in 2025. They have 85 employees, and Frank DeMaria is their top local executive. Then we have Nut and Bolt Fastening Solutions from Lackawanna, 28.66% revenue growth to 3.53 million. They have 9 local employed people, and Kevin Warbiger is the top local executive. And rounding out the top 20, we have Goldberg Segala LLP from the city of Buffalo, 26.02% revenue growth. They're up to $2.2635 million. They employ 250 people, and Christopher Bettner is their top local executive. Okay, in 21st place, we have Net Plus Alliance from Lockport. Revenue growth 23.46%, up to $25.92 million. 11 employed in Western New York, and Jennifer Murphy is their top local executive. 22nd place, the Martin Group in Main Street in Buffalo, 22.44% revenue growth, up to $25 million. They have 55 employees locally, and Todd Martin is their top local executive. 23rd place, Hagner Industries in the city as well, 22.21% revenue growth. They're up to $1.43 million. And they have 8 employees, with Peter Hagner as their top local executive. 24th place, Ulrich Marketing, and they're in Williamsville. 20.65% revenue growth. They're up to $12.93 million in 2025. And 18 employees, and Rich Shano is their top local executive. Then we have Roar Logistics on Exchange Street in Buffalo. 20.26% revenue growth, so they're up to $278.73 million. 98 Western New York employees. Robert Rich III is their top local executive. Next we have Parkside Fire and Security on Cayuga in Cheektowaga, 16.28%. Revenue growth up to $4.4 million. 20 Western New York employees, and Robert Vizena Jr. is their top local executive. 27th place, we have Wendell on SJ in Williamsville, 16.12% revenue growth. They're up to $135.23 million in 2025, and they have 185 employees, and Joseph DeFazio is their top local executive. 28th place, Hamster Group in Lafayette Square downtown, 15.33% revenue growth, up to $144.31 million, and they have 382 local employees, and Daniel Hamster is their top local executive. 29th place is Seal and Design on Casilio Parkway in Clarence. They have revenue growth of 13.84%, so they're up to $111.44 million, and 146 local employees. Dean Penman is their top local executive. And in 30th place, we have Sealing Devices in Lancaster, 12.73 revenue growth. They're up to $114.99 million. and 242 Western New York employees, and Terry and Elizabeth Galanis are their top local executives. Okay, in 31st place, we have Core Environmental Consultants on Worley and Williamsville, 12.26 revenue growth, and that's up to 10.27 million in 2025. They have 12 local employees, and they have Elizabeth Trampach and Teresa Trampach are the top local executives. In 32nd place, we have Hover Network, Lawrence Bell Drive in Williamsville, 9.23 revenue growth, bringing them to 8.9 million for 2025. They have 26 Western New York employees, and Darren Azcone is their top local executive. 33 belongs to Keg Works LLC on Military Road in 14217. Their revenue growth is 7.04%, bringing them to 14.99 million for 2025. They have 32 employed Western New York, and Tom McManus is their top local executive. Then we have Northtown Automotive Companies, Miller Sport Highway in Amherst, 4.82 revenue growth, bringing them to 19.14 million in 2025. They have 938 employed, and Larry Schreiber and Craig Schreiber are the top local executives. Okay, 35th place, P&A Group, Main Street in Williamsville, 3.14% revenue growth, up to 20.43 million in 2025. They have 164 Western New York employees. Dean Mason is their top local executive. 36th place is Hunt Real Estate, headquartered on Dick Road in Depew. 2.87% revenue growth, 106.78 million in revenue volume in 2025. And they have 139 West New York employees. Peter Hunt and Charlie Hunt are the top local executives. And finally, the Imagine Group on Main and the City, 2.22% revenue growth, bringing them to 23 million for 2025. There's 310 employees, and Brian Manley is their top local executive. Okay, that's the end of the list, and I just have time to tell you that you've been listening to a reading of this current issue of Western New York Buffalo Business First, and this was the July 17th through 23rd, 2026 issue. We read from Buffalo Business First every Wednesday evening at 7 p.m. Your reader has been Fran McNamara, and I give you a sincere thank you for listening.
Coming up next on the Niagara Frontier Radio Reading Service is Time Magazine. At 8 o'clock, we have the New York Times, and at 9 o'clock, thanks to our friends at Comic Story, and on YouTube, we have some comic books. We have Ultimate Spider-Man, Absolute Superman, and Nightwing, and a DC Marvel crossover for you. Stay with us. following program is intended for listeners who are blind, have low vision, or have another print disability.